Alright, here is the sequence of tutorial. I'd like to talk about the techniques related to the second exercise, freeform modeling in 3ds Max. I will using the previous project you did in Rhino, transfer the geometry into Max, then we'll do some freeform modeling here. It also serves the purpose to give you the introduction of how to use the polygon modeling tools in Max. Intention is not try to teach you everything because this is a pretty big program, but just some basic stuff like how to set up project folder, how to do the basic editing with points, lines, faces, edges, and how to do the simple edit like extrude, bevel, and how to apply the simple modifiers. For example, you can do smooth, you can create lattice, you can control normal, you can collapse history. And also we'll talk about some general tricks related to 3ds Max, like how you rename objects, how you lock selection, how to do the center pivot and why we do it, some basic material and rendering in V-Ray. I'm assuming you are using the Max 2020, so a lot of tools will be covered in this version 2020. The V-Ray rendering plugin is available in CGC computer, so I will just log in CGC, show you the V-Ray part. Some extra points, probably later in this tutorial, I will cover how you can download material from Megascan and how you can apply the texture. So the intention is to go through all the steps and kind of like a linear way. As a result, you will understand what is the freeform modeling means and how you can visualize this in 3ds Max. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I like to log into the CGC computer is show you the previous project in Rhino. I'm probably just using this model, transfer into Max, and start from there. The reason is it's a little bit easier if you already have a dimensioned model in other program like Rabbit or Rhino. Then you can just simply export those model into Max. Okay. So here I'm using my Rhino model, and this is the previous one. I did some grasshopper stuff. I'm not going to repeat here. So as a result, if I select using the green bucket, you can see it's highlighted my current selection. I basically generated a lot of frames based on the parametric relationship. Right? So this is the massing model. This is the frame model. I will simply just create maybe a new layer 01, and I will bake this into my layer 1. Okay, so this is how you export your grasshopper into Rhino. Right. Once you do that, you can see this is your mesh version. Right. If you have the original polygon version, I would recommend you convert into mesh. The reason is in freeform modeling in Max, you have more tools available if you convert into a mesh. So just convert into mesh. That would be a best choice. Okay. So I did this for my frames. Also, I think I like to transfer. Let's close Grasshopper. I also want to transfer the massing model to Max as well. So here is the massing model. Okay. So I want to transfer both into the other program. But before I transfer them, I just want to quickly check the scale, because there's a common mistake in a lot of 3D modeling program is you not care about the scale, right? I'm not sure it's in inches or centimeters, so this could be a problem in the future. So here I will just simply type distance. Oops, distance. I want to check roughly, what is the dimension of this guy. And I can see, hey, this is a 55 inches. Well, I intend to make this looks like a playground, right, for kids. So definitely it's not 55 inches. Probably it's 50 feet would be more appropriate. So what I will do now is I will simply select these objects. Right. So this is the I just baked all the frames, and I'm going to scale this maybe 12 times, so it's a 50 feet now. Base point doesn't matter. Oh, scale factor 12. Okay, so have this done, right? I can make this a little bit closer to 0, 0, and then I'm going to export this into FBX. Okay, export selected. I will do FBX, which is one of the options here, Motion Builder FBX. So let's give this guy name frames. Enter. So the mesh only, material is found, that's fine, and then click OK. All right, so I'm done. And also, I would like to transfer the this is a mesh, right? This is a meshing model, so I like that one too. So I will export, but I want to scale first. Let's do that. So here I'm going to, oops, I have too many objects in our scene. That could be a issue. So I will select. This computer has a really slow, because I'm remotely control the CGC computer. Right, so holding Shift, I will actually join them. So I have two meshes joined as one mesh. Right. Then I will scale base point here, and then I will do 12. Okay, and then I'm going to export, and I will give this guy name meshing. Right, meshing. Same setting. All right, so I did both. I'm done in Rhino. Now I can close Rhino. Now we'll go to 3ds Max. If this is the first time you open Max, here's a couple of things I like to cover. First, it's different from Rhino. In Rhino, you basically deal with one single file, right? 3DM file. But Max, you are really creating a project folder, and then you have hundreds of files in that folder, including material, textures, particle system, everything is in that folder. Then you using the folder as a way to organize your work. And I already have this GitHub link. So here, if you go there, you can actually see this is the project called simply called 3ds Max. Right? This is a project name. You could actually just simply go ahead, download the zip. This is the fresh project. So let's do that. Download the zip. You can save this file in your local. It's about 20 megabits, not very big. But once you have this downloaded, you can open the whole project. This is a kind of like a template for you to start with exercise. As you know, this is the sub folders called scene. There's a subfolder called asset, scene asset. In the scene, this is basically the place you can save 3ds Max file. In the scene asset, you can have images. Later, you can link as your material library. You can create your own break, fabric textures in the scene asset. All right, so this is some basic folder. So now let's take a quick look on the thing we downloaded. So this is the 3ds Max. I would recommend you just cut and put in a place later you can have access. In my case, I will just put them under C drive. Oh, sorry, I should actually go to, I did it the wrong way. I downloaded it in my local, but I didn't really put in my CGC computer. That's okay. So I will just simply copy and paste into my CGC computer. Yeah, there's a quick way you can do that. So here in the download, I will right-click, copy. Right. Then you go to your CGC computer, right-click. Or you can use Ctrl-V to paste. Can you do that? Yeah. So this is how you transfer files from your local computer to remote CGC. Right. This will take a little bit time to transfer. Meanwhile, I just want to show you, if this is the first time you open 3ds Max file, probably the number one thing you want to do, before you watch my old tutorials on UI, the number one thing you want to do is in a in the project, set up a project, right? If you are not using my GitHub template, you can create your own new project. You can create a default project. I just want to show you when you create a default, you basically identify a folder you want to create a default project. So I will just show you here. I will give a name. Let's do just show you test as a folder name. Select folder. You're done. Right. So you create a default project into that folder. So what happened is in Max is automatically create a lot of subfolders. In the future, you can host files in the same. You can put materials in the same asset. So this is how things are organized by default, right? Test project. But in my case, I'm not really doing this. I already downloaded 3ds Max min. I will just simply extract. Right? Just make sure you unzip the file you just downloaded. All right. I don't really like the folder under another folder. So let me just cut and paste. Okay. Yeah. So that's better. And also, I don't like this name. I will give my personal name. Let's see, this folder I called project E2. Right? And yeah, that's it. This is the project E2. And here, this one actually defines the name of the project. In fact, if you just double click, it's just a bunch of text string define the environment of the project. The last one later I will cover. This is the VRE library. Okay, so if you don't really care about the name, I would recommend you just rename this to project E2. Just keep things consistent. All right. So once you do that, then I will go back to my Max. In the project, I'm going to link. We call this is a set active project. Right? So you want to point to that folder, which is project E2, and select a folder. So once you set this as your current default project, when you open, you see it's automatically search the files in the project E2 syn folder. So it's automatically done, right? In the future, if you want to, for example, apply the materials, I will just give you a quick demo. Here, if you attach a map into the diffuse channel, it's automatically search the folder syn asset images folder. See that? This is automatically go to the default project path. And then you have the patterns. Later, I can show you. You can create, materials, breaks. You can all do this quickly using my provided project. Okay. All right. I think that's it about the basic project setup. But then let's go ahead start to bring the Rhino file in. The first thing I like to do is set up a unit. Here is also a kind of convention. If this is the first time you use Max, I would highly recommend using the metric system. It's less confusing. In the future, we will push this into other engines like Unreal, Twinmotion. They are using the centimeter and the metric, so nobody really using inch. So I would recommend go to system unit, make sure 1 unit equals 1 centimeter. This is the default. And then the overall display as a metric. This will make things a lot easier in the future. You don't have to do the conversion anymore, right? So metric and centimeter in the unit setup. Then I'm going ahead to transfer my Rhino file in. Because this FBX file, let's start with the massing. Right? This one was done in Rhino, probably using the inch as a unit. So when you open, if you ask you what you're gonna do with it, so by default, the scale factor is a 2.54. So that means 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. This is automatic. You don't have to change. But for some reason, if your scale is messed up in Rhino, this is a place you can correct those mistakes. Right? But for me, this is looks all right. I don't really care about the lighting, so I disable that. I don't really care about camera, so I will disable that. Okay, so this is basically what I really care, is just a geometry from the program. And click OK. All right, cool. Now you have this massing model directly in your 3ds Max. Another really good way I highly recommend you guys to do is to measure distance, because sometimes the translation could be wrong. So if you do the measure distance, if I pick up one point, pick another point, here tell you, hey, this is about 20 meters long. That looks right? Because it's a playground, it's about 20 meters. So do some measure before you start modeling is a good habit. You are not accidentally doing a lot of wrong dimension. Another thing I'd like to really quickly point out is in Max, here is the display. You can actually see the name as well as the layer. The layer 0 is basically carried from Rhino. And under the 0, you have object 1, which is this mesh. You also have some other things. This is actually a hierarchy node. You are not really using this anymore. So there's sometimes transfer garbage you can simply delete. Or you can rename. Let's give this name Massing. So it's always a good way you remember the name. Let's make this floating V-ray here. All right. Cool. Yeah, you got the massing. Then I will go ahead and repeat this process to transfer another geometry in. This is the frames. Right? And I want to probably do the same thing. Check no lighting, no camera. Scale is 2.54 from inches to centimeter. Click OK. Now you have these frames. Right? But the problem is you have a lot of frames, 260. This could be an issue. Not in Max, because Max is doing rendering in V-Ray or R-Node or its default rendering engine. But in the future, if you push this to real-time rendering engine, this many 260 objects will be a long list. It's going to be really hard to manipulate. So I will teach you how to clean up this model for real-time rendering later. All right, so let's talk quickly how to clean up this file with 260 geometries. First of all, it's always a good idea you use layer as a way to organize files. So now with 260 geometries selected, if you create a new layer, so basically click this button, create a new layer. If you have a selection, it's automatically put your selection into this new layer. I can give this new layer called maybe frames. Right? So in the future, if you want to turn off, you can turn off the entire layer. All the 260 file will be turned off. But also, I don't really need layer 0, so let's delete this. This layer 0 is actually the massing layer, right? So let's give a name. You can't really use in the same name, so I have to give I'll give a name called, oops, M is a hotkey for material. I will give this name maybe massing layer, or I will just keep this as a 0. So that's something is a little bit tricky in Max. It doesn't like the way. I think the layer 0 is the default. Okay, so let's keep that as the default. All right, so let's keep going. I will turn on the frames. I'm going to merge objects. So I go to objects 1, and I go here. I will click attach list. This is a tool available under the modifier list, and then click this. Right? Because these files are in the same layer, you can just simply select objects, not massing. In fact, if you turn off massing, it will not include massing in your list. You only want to holding Shift, select 260 objects, right? Not massing. Then I will choose attach. So boom, they are merged as a single objects. So this makes things a lot easier in the future. I would say frame 2. Not really using the same name. So for the massing, that's fine. We have one massing and one frame, right? 2 objects. Another quick thing I like to modify is a pivot point. So right now, if you see the center point of this frame is right here in this corner. Usually I will do a center pivot. So go here, affect pivot only center objects. So that will force this center, obviously the pivot point back to the center. The same thing, click this to disable. You want to do that to the massing model as well. See, this center point is off the massing. I would affect pivot only and then center to the default. So this is a really good habit. You can make things a lot easier in the future. We'll transfer to other programs because they all, centered in a geometric center of the objects. Okay, so have this all done in 3ds Max. Cleaned up, I think we are ready to move on to the next stage.